Right, we're here doing an interview with the crypt now, and for those people that are watching this video, how did your group actually start?
Well, the group did start not long after I had originally joined the Gothic meetup, when I had turned up with a bloody knee due to me tripping over. And as I got to know the group more, I started talking about vampires and finding out that there were other people interested, but there was no vampire group around at the time. And we did learn that there was a group, a vampire society here in Manchester, that did call their meeting location the Crypt. And that's the reason behind the name of our group. It gained momentum the more it was talked about. Then one night in January, the Crypt was born, and it's been continuing for the past 2 years.
Well, my involvement with the Crypt started off more in London, where, having tied with the Gothic groups, I ended up involved with the London Vampire meetup group, which was a lot of fun. And when I headed up here, I had been with the Manchester Goths for some time, and then I thought I wanted something like the experience I'd had in London. So obviously I met some like-minded individuals, we talked about it, including the lovely Earth here, and one night, as she recalled, we started what we have here.
That's very good. How do we find you on, like, say, the internet?
We already have a Facebook group.
Yeah, we primarily focus on the meetup website. It's www.meetup.com/thecrypt. There's also a Facebook group for us. You only have to search for the Crypt. We do keep the details on our flyers, and we do have a new design coming out very shortly.
That's very good, and I will put a link to the meetup group on the video as we go along. Right, so say if I was to join the Crypt, what do you have to offer, say, like newcomers?
Well, what we do at our meetups is we do more than just sit in a pub and drink and talk. We actually organise and theme each meetup differently, like there's a different focus point. For example, one meetup we would focus on a particular movie. For example, Interview with the Vampire. We would base the meetup around that. Someone would even bring in the book and read an extract from it before the meetup starts. Before the film starts, I should say. And also, we've had meetups themed around guests as well. So we've had people like Nancy Schumann, who wrote Take a Bite, which is based on female vampires through the ages, like Namastu, Lilith. And there's also the lovely duo of Sam Stone and David J. Howe. Sam Stone writes the Vampire Genes series. I do recommend those, they are a brilliant read. And we do also offer an opportunity for people to present their stories or their poetry, or even just a poem that they like, or an extract from a story.
We also, for upcoming authors and people who write and don't necessarily want to read them out themselves, will read out poetry for people if required. We do believe this is pretty important because it allows people who've done books and poems and stuff a possibility of having it read out, whether they feel they want to do it personally or not, and get their work out there, which also we echo in the site, allowing submissions of both stories and poetry, if you need to spread it among the group.
What is the meetup about then?
The meetup is primarily about those who have an interest in vampires, because it's created quite a culture. From the name alone, it's inspired films, movies, music, poetry, art, TV shows, fashion. It's just very expansive what the word vampire can bring about in people's heads, and we try to include as much of the culture as we can with what we offer at our meetups.
I mean, even thinking about the word vampire, the odds are there's an image in your head somehow. Obviously Bella's a classic, but there's so many ideas, images that hit you immediately. We're celebrating all of those. There's tons of things. You could say the word culture, but it's more the collection of ideas from 1,000 different perspectives, all of which involve that one central theme. And we're very open and various deliberately about these because there's so much to discover for both those who know things and people who'd like to know more, and people who are relatively new to the scene. We try and offer an extensive menu both for people experienced with the culture and environment and for people who are literally just getting into it and want to know more.
Yeah. So, to any newcomer, are there any, say, like events going up and coming?
Yeah, what we do have coming up next month is, we did last year, this year we plan to do another retrospective of what the crypt's done in the past year, which will include a video of all the photos that have been taken during the year. And in March, we do have planned a Vampires vs Hunters shoot, which again we did last year and proved very successful. So we are planning to do one again, and we also hope to do a meetup where we have people's artwork and photography on display for people to see and to maybe buy and to raise funds so the crypt can do bigger and better things. For example, we've mentioned that we've had Sam Stone and Nancy Schumann here. We have also had a guy called Mark Ollie here, and he did a presentation on what he's found out of vampire history himself, and he found out things that I didn't know, and I had done a fair amount of research into vampires myself.
I mean, obviously we have got things planned, but we also like to see things that we wouldn't necessarily have thought of initially. I mean, some of the people who've been here a while and the other organisers do come up with some great ideas, and we continue to be remarkably flexible with how we do things, but also have set events pushed forward just in case as well, because obviously there's so much out there. I mean, cemetery visits have been suggested at points, but of course there's technicalities with that. But ultimately we keep one ear to the ground and mind on our planning. So there's a lot of possibility in the future, particularly this year.
That's very good. Could you tell me more about the things that you have on the table in front of you?
This book right here, we have it at every meetup we do, and it's basically a guest signing book. There's a lovely little drawing here done by Robin. And yeah, a common connection to vampires is of course the bat. And there are bats that do drink blood from animals. So there are vampire bats around. There's also cute ones like fruit bats, which I find absolutely adorable. And to give an idea, those are signatures from our very first meetup. Details, as you can see, we've got signings from March 2011, which is another meetup that we've had. And on the desk we do have vampiric effects, so to speak, common rings that you tie with vampires, like this lovely red velvet, because some vampires do love wearing velvet. We have the crypt collection tin. This was a gift that was given to me from a friend who went to Whitby, found this and thought it would be, well, perfect for me. It's a scary fairy, but it had the name I use on, Lilith. We have, well, some poor human. We would joke that it was a poor human, but he's a glow-in-the-dark guy.
He's one of my old relics. I've had this thing years, but he sort of came on the first crypt meetup and never went away, really, didn't he?
Yeah.
And So we've got this bag of shower blood. We have also been looking into, if there's interest, edible blood and other such ideas.
We have had
all strawberry juice though, really.
We have had twice. It looks like blood, but it's actually chocolate flavoured, and it can be very sweet. But it went down a treat with everyone.
Yeah.
And this is one of my favourite little effects, a little coffin, which did actually feature on one of the business cards that we had. It opens, so you can put little trinkets in there as well if anybody had the mind to. In fact, some funds went into this at one meetup.
Although usually they go into Lilith tin, if we're honest. I think there's even a little in there right now.
Oh yes.
And we do commonly play music as a background sound for our meetups. And we do vary it. For example, we've got Bauhaus, which is classic goth. I love my goth music. Old school, new school, one is pretty cool. Got another very different band here, Evanescence. Kind of credit them with getting me onto the dark side. And we've got another different band here, like Nightwish. This is just an example of some of the music that we play. We do have classical music playing in the background at times that's suitable for the theme, which is like dark and creepy, that's featured in movies. For example, The Phantom of the Opera has been played here before.
I mean, this doesn't represent the full extent of what we're into. I mean, obviously we research most vampire bands, like both of us are quite heavy Theatres to Vampires fans, as is pretty typical. But of course, if any band suggests they're into vampires, we give them a listen, and if we like what we hear, then they usually end up at meetups. So yes, if you've got a CD out, do let us know on that.